Alright, we're going to start stripping this thing down here and doing some of the mods on it here. So the first thing to do, we need to get the strings off of it. So I'll go ahead and get the strings off of it and bring you right back. Alright, we got the strings off well enough that we can work with the tuners first. So it's going to take a 10mm wrench on here. I like to do this before I do anything here. Get them loose. They're usually not real tight. I like to use this box end too, because that way you don't scratch your headstock, because I have done that before. I like to keep a fuzzy towel or something down too, that way you don't scratch the finish on your guitar. Of course, you just got little Phillips screws on this side, and you'll take all these guys out. A lot of these kits come with the screws. I do not like to use the screws with the kits because they normally don't fit exactly right. So I use the ones that were the guitar was built with. That way I don't have to fight with getting a screw in here. So all those guys are loose now. So you can push on the back of that and it'll pop up just a little bit. It'll take the tension off. And actually take your fingers and just unscrew that all the way off. There's your tuner right here. So we're going to go back with Grover locking tuners on this guitar. I've used them quite a few times and they work really well. The only issue I have with those tuners is sometimes when you go with a low tuning and you have really thick strings, you have to actually make the holes bigger in them so that string will go through. I'll bring you back here in a second when I get the new ones on. Alrighty, so here's the tuners like I'm going back with right here. The Grovers. And it's just like taking them off. Put this on first. Run it down just a little bit to hold it. And then your screw is going to go back in the back side. And then you just go back at it with a 10mm wrench. And just snug. And it's rinse and repeat with the rest of those, and I'll bring you back. Alright, so we got them on here. And the next order of business is the fretwork's really good. It does need polished. I don't have a polisher right now. So these fretboard is really dry, so that needs oiled. And I usually use Dunlop 65. It's fretboard lemon oil. So you just have an applicator on the end, and you can kind of squeeze it a little bit and just kind of rub that in, let that sink in. It's probably going to take a couple coats on this because these fretboards from these import guitars are really dry when they come in. So while we're doing other stuff, we'll let this actually sink into the fretboard, and then we'll probably do another coat when we get ready to put some new strings on. I am going to 10 through 46 strings on this. The action's actually so low with 9 through 42 in E flat. It's got a little bit of string noise because I pick really hard. So while that's sinking in here, let me finish getting the rest of these strings off, and then we'll come right back. Alright, I got the strings out. A little bit of a fight on this bridge. I'm going to show you this on this bridge. This is a very cheap bridge, and it's not great. It's hard getting the strings out of, but I'll use it for now. I'll probably change it in the future. It has a very, very tiny block on this right here. I went ahead and removed a string off of this thing, or a spring off of this, because it was so tight it was really unusable. So the next order of things is I'm going to pull this pickup out, and I'll go ahead and get these. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and take this back plate loose first. And while we're looking at this, you can look in here and see there's absolutely no shielding anywhere so far on this guitar. So I'm going to assume that it's not shielded at all. So that's the only shielding in the whole guitar. There's none around your pot and none in here. I went ahead and clipped. Let me see here. There's a capacitor right here. I went ahead and clipped it from here and moved it to the side to get rid of that treble bleed. The circuit doesn't work real well in this guitar. It basically turns your volume into an on and off, so you can actually use it now. So let's roll it back over again, and we'll go ahead and get this pickup out. I'm still debating if I'm going to change the pot out in this. It does spec out to what it's supposed to spec out to. Of course, it's not a good pot. And anytime you change like your volume pot out here, a lot of these import guitars, it has a smaller size, so you have to actually ream that out to get the new pot in. So it's it almost looks like, I'm pretty sure that's an Epiphone pickup, I'm pretty sure. It's not a bad sounding pickup, but it's not what it could be. And it's not shielded in here, by the way. No shielding whatsoever. So let's set this guy over. We're going to flip it over. And it's not the proper tool, but it works better in certain instances. I just get a cheap set of like nail clippers, and here is your pickup wire. So I'm just going to clip the leads off of this instead of solder and get extra heat in here that doesn't need to be. So I'll just clip it off right here. And clip the ground right here. And then we can just pull that right out. See, your pickup's free then. Here's a little bit better shot at the back of it. It's got a symbol on it right here. I'm just not sure what that is. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this pickup out of here. You just loosen it up and you'll put your new pickup in with your screw and your spring. And I'll bring you back when I have the new pickup in here. Alrighty, so here's what I'm going back with. This is a DiMarzio, let me see if I can get it right here, Evolution. I figured that'd be pretty fitting for this guitar. So I'm going to put this in. I'll feed the wires through. I usually feed it through just enough where I can grasp it with my fingers. I'll pull it right through. Of course, we're going to screw this guy back in here. Oh, you know what? Almost forgot. I'm going to shield this. Let me pause you here and I'll be right back with the shield. So here's a trick. You can buy copper shielding that's a tape. And it's a little pricey, but I learned this from an old guitar tech. You can get like HVAC style tape. And that's what they used to do in the old days. And it does work and it saves you a lot of money. So I'll usually just tear off a piece and get the back off of it. And I'll just kind of piece it in. And just keep in mind that is the ground going through the bottom of the body right there. So if you ever do go to work on it and check the ground, it is under the tape. I just kind of stuff it in there and flatten it. I want to get it as flat as possible. And then I'll kind of piece it. I'll tear pieces and go around the sides here and do the same thing. And I just make sure it's all flat. Push down that way. You don't have no junk sticking up to interfere with anything. And I'll bring you right back here. Alright, so we got it shielded here. And the reason why I started doing that years and years ago was we had this thing that come out new that started messing with guitars, and you would pick up feedback and such through these things, and that was cell phones. And that's a good way to break that signal and try to help, because sometimes you'll pick up weird noises and stuff in guitars if they get too close. So I'm just going to put the screws back in this and I'll bring you right back. Alrighty guys, another tip. So apparently this body is not routed as deep. You are going to have to clip the ends of your screws right here so it'll go flush, so you can bolt it down correctly. Just a little heads up. Alrighty, so that's bolted in. I'm going to put another coat of lemon oil on the fretboard, and I'm going to go back with 10-3/46 strings. And this will be, I'll bring this another video for the second part. I'm still deciding if I need to put new pot or use the one that's in it. And once I do, I'll make that second video and you'll see that up close. Thank you.